Hi, everybody. It's Hillary, the CEO and founder of Brand Assembly. We're so excited to be coming back to Los Angeles. It's our first show that we're doing since the pandemic started last March. We will be there October 11th through the 13th at the Cooper Design Space. We're really excited about a couple initiatives that we have. Obviously, seeing everybody back from the pandemic, we wanted to do some special things. We are going to have a retail therapy cafe, which we're really excited about, with neighborhood coffee in partnership with Swap Retail and Management One. Swap Retail and Management One are two amazing companies that you definitely want to get to know, especially in this post-pandemic planning period, to be able to understand your inventory as well as be able to be a little bit more fluid with your inventory is going to be, key to everybody kind of working their way back and getting their feet back on the ground. They will be at the show October 11th through the 13th at the Retail Therapy Cafe. You can talk to them about all of your issues, all of your problems. Maybe some of them don't have to do with your store at all, but we're all here to kind of get out of this as a community and as a whole, and we're excited to have you back.
Hi guys, we're so excited to be here with Brand Assembly, and we're coming up to the show very quickly. And so what we wanted to do is get together as a group. We're going to be hosting the cafe at Brand Assembly, a little caffeine, a little confidence, to talk retail therapy with you. And we have some questions for you, right? Are you coming into this show with a plan? What's your current inventory positions? How are you strategizing to maximize your efforts at this buying market? So I have two incredible guests with me to help hopefully answer some questions, and then you're going to book some time with us out in LA where we're going to sit down with you. So I have Melody Vonderbaan, who is not only the owner of her own boutique, Bless Boutique, she is also the founder of Swap Retailer, which you're going to hear much more about, and a Management One client. And we have Allison Boswell from Reading Consulting and Analysis. And Allison is working with Melody as an M1, Management One retail expert. So there's a lot of brain power right here in this crew. And we're here to share some insights on what's going on in this market and how we can help you prep to buy at Brand Assembly. So Melody, do you want to jump in and give us a little insight into where your head's at this market?
Absolutely. First of all, I just love being back at shows. I think that there's nothing that can compare to in person. And if I had to do one more Zoom, I thought I would pull my hair out. And so just being back with my favorite vendors, seeing new vendors, being surrounded by retailers again, and touching and feeling merchandise, I don't think there's anything that's more gratifying as a buyer than the opportunity to do that again, especially after 2020. So thank you guys for being such amazing co-sponsors of this Café Retail Therapy, where we can make sure that retailers have all the confidence and the least anxiety as they're going into buying for 2022.
I think that's really a good point. It is exciting to be back at market, and it is important to be able to touch and feel the goods, but it's also really overwhelming. There's something, if you're in your own room Zoom calling, it's not as great an experience, but you feel a little bit maybe more in control, where you're not being overwhelmed with so much stuff. So when you go into market and you don't have a plan of what to buy, how much to buy, when to buy it, that's really stressful.
Absolutely, I agree. And then the question in your mind of, what if it doesn't sell? What am I going to do? And so what I love about our relationship with Management One is helping retailers like myself make wise choices about the assortment that we're bringing in and how much and at what time. And then if it doesn't work out, Swap Retail is there so that I can sell it off to another retailer of the same brand who actually did well with it. So I love that we come in at the beginning of the product life cycle and the end of a product life cycle and work together harmoniously.
Yeah, so Melody, I want to give you a chance to speak a little bit about Swap Retail's role in all this, because one of the things, and we're actively working on this on a daily basis with clients, is a lot of clients came into the pandemic era over leveraged, too much inventory, not the right amount of inventory, unbalanced. And I'll talk a little bit how we solve that, but I want to hear what Swap Retail is bringing to the retailer in order to really make sure that their business is as profitable, as inventory, correct as possible. So give me a little insight.
Sure. So Swap Retail is an exclusive marketplace for retailers to sell, buy, and swap inventory with one another. We have had such an interesting value proposition over the last 18 months. And that's really around the time that we launched, 3 months before COVID hit. And so any retailer who may have thought they had an inventory problem before definitely had one within the next 3 or 6 months. And what we've learned a lot on Swap Retail as our value proposition of helping retailers to list the inventory that they're sitting on that's not selling in store so that another authorized retailer of that same brand can have access to it and buy it from them has been tremendous. And the more I utilize Management One and Swap Retail as a retailer myself, the more I see them work hand in hand. But I think what's been super interesting about Swap Retail is how much we've learned about these last 6 months where the supply chain has had a number of holdups, and how Swap Retail has been able to help retailers make sure they have enough of what they need when their vendors haven't been able to ship them. And I think that's been extremely an interesting aspect of our business, is to say, hey, we can provide supply when others can't because it's coming from another retailer who sells that brand. And it's a newer product to you, but it's not to them. And so it's kind of cool because this ecosystem of retailers utilizing a network of inventory that never before existed, everyone is able to optimize. And that goes hand in hand with Management One, optimizing from day one.
So let me ask you about that, Melody. So how do you use the Management One reports to figure out where you really need to drill down and maybe get rid of some goods, or maybe where you have holes that you can't fill?
So that's been a really big struggle for me as a retailer, especially as a retailer before ever working with Management One. I had a complete opposition to markdowns. I did not like putting things on sale. I have a store in Palm Beach Gardens, and I have a very small clientele that's very loyal. And I was always anxious about them walking in and seeing an item that they bought now on sale. And that fear drove me to not do markdowns for, I would say, my first 7 years of business. And really what I've learned from Management One is if something's not working, you have to get it out and get your cash flow back. And it's funny to be the creator of Swap Retail, which is all about turning inventory and freeing up your cash flow, but realizing the extent that we're able to help improve turns, the same way Management One is pointing out the turns you have to make if you're going to be successful and really a profitable retailer. I've been utilizing the Retail Orbit software provided by Management One to really look at how aged my inventory is in a way that my point of sale never showed me. And I think that that's the thing. You can say, I'm going to change to this next point of sale and it's going to give me all these bells and whistles, but it's not going to give you planning bells and whistles. And it's not going to call you once a month and tell you all of your red flags. So you can have a great point of sale, but it will never replace Management One or Allison saying, I'm concerned about your level of this, or I'm concerned about your level of that, or what's going on? Are there external factors going on that's affecting this plan? Or is there something that we need to be doing more proactively? And so with having this consultant to really look at what's going on with my sales by class and by my inventory levels has allowed me to be more aware when I need to list something on Swap Retail, or when I need to take a markdown in store, or do a new floor plan in my store, because the level of detail that Retail Orbit gives me allows me to see, hey, Melody, you're selling 60% this month in knit tops, but you only have 30% of knit tops as your actual assortment. And to show that I have an open to buy of X amount in order for me to keep on this trend, right? Or to keep excelling in the way I am. And I would say, even if you're a retailer who's so on top of it and you're looking at your sell-through reports once a month, right? It will never compare to being able to log into something every single day and see how you're trending for the month. every single day and see how your open to buy has shifted in order to truly keep up where you're at. So I think that that's been really important to me as a retailer. And it's funny because I talk to a lot of retailers every single day. And if I meet someone who's been in retail for 20 years and they're not using a planner, or if I meet someone who's opening a store next month, I tell them the same thing. I want you to know what I know now, because I went from being a boutique owner to being a true retailer. And that's the kind of shift that everyone deserves to have, especially if you're out there hustling, if you're out there doing your social media, doing your website, if you are trying to be at the forefront of your business, leading the way in retail, and especially brick and mortar or e-com, omni-channel, whatever you're doing, if you're that kind of a go-getter, then this is a cup of tea that you want to drink, because it's going to improve your performance and your turns that much more. And that's why, hand in hand with Swap Retail, Allison's saying, hey, Melody, you have way too many woven tops and you're not hitting the plan, which means, sorry, Mel, you didn't buy right in that category. You better get rid of them. And having someone call me so that I can say, okay, I'm going to go list those tops on Swap Retail because somebody else in Little Rock, Arkansas might be killing it with those tops. Let me move them out. And then if she calls me and says, what are you doing? You don't have enough silk tops to meet your plan for this month. I can go and email my vendors and say, can you ship me? Can you ship me? And if the answer is no, I can pop on Swap Retail and go ahead and click, 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 get a little extra small, small, medium here of this, medium, large in that, and extra large for Susie on that one. And I can at least fill in for the week until my vendor can ship me so that I don't miss my plan for the month altogether in that category.
Right, and the ability to be agile in a shifting marketplace right now is so vital. And I just want to kind of level set for anyone who doesn't really know about Management One. We've been working with retailers for 34 years now, and we are the largest provider of inventory planning for independent retailers. And it never ceases to amaze me, when you speak to retailers across the country, and you're right, whether they're opening, next month or whether they've been in business 20 years, one of the anxieties and one of the stresses that I hear the most, especially surrounding market time and going back into market, is I feel like I'm winging it when it comes to my inventory. I have that gut, I have that understanding, I know what my customer wants, but I'm always looking to have some type of structure or support when it comes to what I'm spending, right? And we all know this, and we could say it time and time again, inventory is the largest investment in your business. Melody, when I look at your racks behind you, I see cash, right? And so that desire to kind of know your turns, turn through your product efficiently, make sure you're rotating, clear up dollars of product that isn't working so that you could open it back up to bring in more productive inventory. I mean, these are so key, and I can't tell you how much I love to hear that description of going from a boutique owner to a retailer, because that is so powerful.
One thing that I've found over the years that I've been consulting is that if you're a small business owner, you're pretty much learning from your own mistakes. And that's great. You can learn a lot from your mistakes, but there's not a lot of places to really get education about how to maximize your business. And so that's one thing that Management One can do. And when you talk about, you can have a very robust POS system that does a lot of stuff for you, but at the end of the day, it's all history. And what Management One does using IA and machine learning is give you a path to the future. And that, along with helping people understand some of the metrics that they have heard of and kind of know, but don't really understand how they work. Melody, you told me that by looking at the plan and looking at being overstocked and looking at markdowns that needed to be taken, it made you realize that if you wanted to avoid that, you needed to move quicker on Swap and list things sooner rather than waiting till the end of the season going, oh, I guess that didn't work. Get through it now.
Yeah, and I definitely just want to point out that if you have this opposition to markdowns, which I get. Like I said, it was me. And if you have that opposition, but you have a problem with your turns not being fast enough, same thing, guys. If you don't know how many turns you're taking a year, Café Retail Therapy with us. If you don't know the answer to how many turns you're getting a year, guys, I'm not kidding. This is the most important thing you need to know. And if you don't, then we just need to help you be more proactive. Guys, the answer to everything is being proactive. Proactive about your buy, proactive about how the merchandise is performing, proactive about what you're doing with the kinds that are not performing with that inventory. So that's literally the answer here. Nobody is trying to tell you to make yourself a sales store. We're trying to say, get smart about your buy. Get smart and be aware about what's not working and have your strategy in place to get those items out quickly. So that's what we're saying here. We're not saying become a sales store. We're saying become a lean, mean inventory machine.
Is that trademarked?
No, I'm telling you, but like when I think about the anxiety of a show and the excitement of a show, and I'm like, yay, I get to go. I'm flying out tonight, going to New York, right? I get to be in showrooms all day tomorrow. My business partner, Morgan, she's like, don't you even think about writing a thing without looking at that plan. She's like, I know how you get. You stop looking at price tags. You get all excited and emotional. She's like, absolutely not. And I love that. I love that I have her to say, you buy according to the plan. And then afterwards, I have Allison saying, you go and you revise your buy. Because when I have this accountability as somebody who's so passionate about our industry and passionate about what I'm bringing to my customers, I need those checks in place to make sure that I don't go bonkers, and so that I can feel confident aftermarket. I can feel confident. I can say, I've bought everything I need, or at least the majority of it, in all the categories I need from all the vendors that I know my customers love. And I found a few great new ones. And you can leave a show confident. And so if you're a retailer and you are planning on going to a market, if you're planning on coming to LA, come and meet with us before the show starts, at your lunchtime. Let's get to know one another so we can give you that caffeine and confidence boost that you deserve and shake the anxiety. Shake the anxiety.
You have the taglines today. I'm loving it, but I'm just excited because to be at a show and to connect in person, there's sometimes, and Allison, I think you mentioned this before, there are limited resources out there for boutiques. You're a boutique owner, and sometimes it can feel like you are going at this alone. And we're just so happy that Brand Assembly, gave us the platform and gave us this, collaborative idea where we're going to be able to really sit down with retailers, open up the hood, so to speak, look under their business, and be able to kind of chat about what's going on and what some solutions are. And you know what? There's a ton of solutions out there, and there's a ton of great people in this industry who are really there to help.
I think when you're a retailer, you are assuming that your sales suck because there aren't enough customers, or your sales suck because of what you have in, right? The actual stuff that you bought. But that's not always the truth. And that's what I've learned from working with Management One, is sometimes it's that you don't have enough of the right categories to make your sales marks. And I think that that's probably my greatest lesson learned, because, and I can have a conversation with my staff and they'll say, oh my gosh, we have enough pants here, we're good there. And I'm like, no. According to my plan, I need 2,000 more. I'm 2,000 under bought right now. And looking around the room, you have an idea, maybe a hypothesis, but if you're not going off of data, you don't really understand why your sales are the way they are. And that's what I think I've learned, especially a month like January, where vendors are notorious to not ship on time. For me to have 40% of my merchandise shipped in January and 60% delayed, I would have completely missed my numbers for January if I couldn't go on Swap Retail and get a few fill-ins from other retailers of my brands, just to make sure I had that brand's product in store. So I could buy from a store in Alabama who was still sitting on it, still cold there. It's nice in Florida. I can get a few more tops in. I can get a few more little tank tops that they sure as heck don't need, but I need fill-ins. And I can't afford for vendors who are shipping late to have me miss my plan completely just because the goods aren't ready.
Right, and these supply chain issues are real, and these supply chain issues are not slowing down anytime soon. And Allison, I think you may agree with me on this here, and Melody, you just hit it, but in terms of hitting the plan and fulfilling the dollars, from our perspective, we just want the goods to hit the floor. So if you're getting them for your vendor, if they can't provide it for you, get on Swap Retail and get the goods you need into your store and onto your floor so that you can hit the numbers, hit your sales, and keep that cash flowing through your business.
When I look at a store's plan and they're not hitting their sales numbers in a category, more often than not, it's because they don't have enough inventory and it's not fresh enough. Sometimes they have plenty of inventory, but it's old. But if they are low in inventory, whether it's fresh or not, they're not going to be able to hit their sales plan.
So the synergy here between, Swap Retail and Management One, it's so powerful. And then you bring this to a trade show format, and that is really, it's chef's kiss. It's everything coming together.
And it's so great to be able to talk to other retailers and other people in the industry to share some of the problems that you have and find some solutions.
And Allison, I think that's one thing that I love about you is when you're working with me as a retailer, you're sharing with me, hey, I know that a retailer in California needed to do a markdown strategy and she came up with this, or she actually held this kind of a promotion. And so this wealth of knowledge that Management One has, because they work with so many retailers, and it's funny because it happens to us all the time on Swap Retail. We'll be talking to a retailer on the phone and they'll be like, tell me about this, tell me about that. Guys, this is what we want. We want community. Retailers want community. We want knowledge. We want to share knowledge. And that's why Café Retail Therapy came to be, because we want to share knowledge with you and we want to hear about your experiences too.
So join us. We hope to see you there for Café Retail Therapy. We'll be at Brand Assembly from October 11th through the 13th. We're going to send you information on how you can book an appointment to speak with one of us at the show. And let's just grab a cup of Joe, right? And hang and talk, and we'll talk some shop with you and hopefully be able to answer any questions or talk through some situations you're experiencing right now in your retail store.